They say that the greatest revelations come not in the hallowed halls of temples, but in the silence of the wilderness. And believe me, I never truly grasped the weight of that saying until I felt the crisp mountain air thin in my very lungs and the entire world around me turned to a blinding, searing fire. You can call Mr. Tanaka. I hail from Japan, and what I'm about to share with you, it's not some dusty, ancient parable passed down through generations. It's raw. It's real. It happened to me. And without exaggeration, it utterly transformed everything I thought I knew. It's weird, but the beginning was a whisper, a faint phrase I encountered years ago while watching a documentary on the Dead Sea Scrolls. The desert holds secrets older than time and truths that can shatter your perception of reality. That line, it burrowed into my mind and never left. For 60 years, I've walked this earth, the majority of them spent within the tranquil walls of our monastery, tucked away high in the serene mountains of Kyoto. I've always considered myself a devoted student of the Dharma, a seeker of enlightenment, my life completely dedicated to the teachings of the Buddha. I've chanted the sutras more times than I can count, meditated until the world around me seemed to dissolve into pure, unadulterated emptiness, and constantly strive to embody the compassion and profound wisdom of the enlightened ones. But something had shifted, hadn't it? A quiet disquiet, a subtle but persistent unease had taken root deep within my heart. The world outside, with its relentless, unyielding march of modernization, was slowly but surely seeping into our sacred sanctuary. The younger monks, their minds understandably captivated by the dazzling allure of technology and Western ideals, seemed increasingly detached from the ancient ways we held so dear. Their chants, once filled with reverence, now felt hurried, almost mechanical. Their meditations, once periods of deep contemplation, now seemed perfunctory, lacking that essential spark. It pained me to see it, but I witnessed the vibrant sparkle of enlightenment gradually fade from their eyes, replaced by the fleeting superficial glitter of the material world. I worried, constantly, about the future of our traditions. I felt like a solitary, ancient tree desperately clinging to a windswept mountainside, while a violent, unforgiving storm raged relentlessly below. I was losing my connection, not just to the younger generation entrusted to my care, but to the very heart and soul of my own practice. I spent so much time in my life trying to learn how to die, and when the time comes, I forget everything. I did my best to resist the seductive pull of the modern world, clinging fiercely to the rituals and routines that had always been my anchors. I redoubled my efforts in my practice, dedicating even longer hours to meditation, desperately seeking solace in the profound stillness of the Zendo. But the silence I once found so comforting had become hollow, the mantras I chanted echoing without the resonance they once held. I felt a growing, gnawing disconnect, a sense of being tragically out of sync with the fundamental rhythm of the universe. That's precisely why I made the decision to embark on that fateful hiking trip. A solitary pilgrimage to Mount Koya, a peak of immense sacred significance, revered by Buddhists for countless centuries. I harbored a perhaps naive hope that the journey would somehow rekindle the spiritual fire that seemed to be dwindling within me, that the pristine mountain air and the ancient, whispering forests would help me reconnect with the Dharma on a deeper level. Those first few days were genuinely invigorating. I reveled in the welcome physical exertion, feeling the crisp, clean mountain air filling my lungs with each breath, taking in the breathtaking panorama of majestic peaks and verdant valleys that stretched out before me in every direction. I experienced a profound sense of peace, a tranquility I hadn't felt in what seemed like an eternity, a welcome return to the simplicity and blessed solitude I had been craving for so long. I walked and walked and walked, the warm sun caressing my skin, and my mind, for what felt like the first time in years, finally quieted its incessant, often troubling chatter. But then, on the third day, As I was carefully navigating a particularly steep and treacherous section of the trail, strewn with loose rocks and hidden pitfalls, everything went horribly, catastrophically wrong. A searing, agonizing pain suddenly exploded in my chest, a crushing, unbearable weight that instantly stole my breath away. I stumbled, my vision blurring rapidly, the world around me tilting precariously on its axis. I vividly remember clutching desperately at my chest, gasping and struggling for air that simply wouldn't come. My legs, suddenly weak and unresponsive, buckled beneath me, and I fell heavily, my head striking a jagged rock with a sickening, echoing thud. Darkness rushed in, a swirling, all-consuming vortex, relentlessly pulling me down into its impenetrable depths. The doctors, in their clinical, detached way, later informed me that I was, for all intents and purposes, clinically dead for a full 6 minutes. 6 agonizing yet strangely peaceful minutes suspended between this world and whatever mysterious realm lies beyond our comprehension. The next thing I consciously perceived was the sensation of floating. Not floating in the air in a literal sense, but rather hovering above my own physical body. I could see myself lying there, a crumpled, motionless heap, on the unforgiving rocky trail. Strangely, there was absolutely no pain, no fear, only a profound, almost overwhelming sense of detachment. It was as if I were a passive observer, watching a scene from some surreal play, observing a character who, while familiar, was no longer truly me. Then I experienced a sensation of rapid movement. I was hurtling through a tunnel, a breathtaking kaleidoscope of swirling colors and pulsating light. It wasn't frightening in the slightest. On the contrary, it was exhilarating, akin to being swept away by a powerful yet undeniably benevolent cosmic current. The tunnel eventually opened into a vast, incredibly luminous space, bathed in a light so brilliant, so pure, so utterly beyond description, it defied all earthly comparisons. It wasn't the harsh, sometimes blinding glare of the sun. It was a soft, all-encompassing radiance that seemed to emanate from everything and paradoxically from nothing at all. And there was sound, a symphony of ethereal vibrations, a celestial chorus that resonated deep within the very core of my being. It was, without a doubt, the most beautiful music I had ever heard, yet it wasn't music in any conventional sense. It was pure, unadulterated harmony, the sound of the universe itself singing its own magnificent, ongoing creation. I was enveloped by an overwhelming sense of peace, a love so profound, so unconditional, so utterly complete, it made all earthly loves I had ever experienced seem like pale, insignificant imitations. All the worries, the anxieties, the nagging doubts that had plagued me for years simply vanished, dissolving like mist in the morning sun. I felt in that moment that I was home, I was whole, I was complete. And then, amidst this overwhelming beauty and peace, I saw him. He was standing in what appeared to be a desert, a vast, seemingly endless expanse of sand and weathered rock stretching out to the distant horizon. It wasn't the lush, verdant, idyllic landscape I might have expected. It was barren, desolate, almost stark, yet somehow, paradoxically, breathtakingly beautiful in its starkness. And he was unlike anyone I had ever encountered or even imagined in my wildest dreams. He was dressed in simple, flowing white robes, his face radiating a gentle, profoundly compassionate light. He didn't speak, not in the conventional sense of using words, but I understood him perfectly, without the slightest effort. It was as if his thoughts, his very essence, were flowing directly into my mind, crystal clear and utterly unmistakable. He gestured towards the desert, and in that instant, I saw not mere grains of sand, but lives. Millions upon millions of lives stretching back through the vastness of time, each individual grain representing a soul, striving, yearning, searching for something more. and I understood, with a clarity that transcended all earthly knowledge. The desert wasn't a place of emptiness or desolation. It was a place of infinite potential, a place where the seeds of enlightenment could take root and flourish if only we took the time and effort to tend to them with care and devotion. Your body? He communicated again, not with spoken words, but with a pure, unadulterated understanding that bypassed all linguistic barriers, is the fertile soil. Your spiritual practice is the life-giving water. But if the soil is depleted, if the water is withheld or contaminated, even the most precious, most potent seed cannot possibly flourish. In my relentless pursuit of spiritual enlightenment, I had foolishly, tragically neglected my physical health, my own body, failing to grasp the fundamental truth that they were inextricably intertwined, two sides of the same precious coin. My entire life unfolded before me, as if I was looking into my past, a rich, complex tapestry meticulously woven with moments of profound joy and crushing sorrow, resounding success and bitter failure, selfless kindness and regrettable selfishness. I witnessed the far-reaching impact of my actions, the intricate ripple effects that extended far beyond my immediate awareness or comprehension. I saw with painful clarity the times I had been overly rigid, too fixated on the letter of the law rather than its underlying spirit. And, perhaps most heartbreakingly, I saw the countless wasted hours, the precious moments I had carelessly let slip away, lost in unproductive worry or mindless distraction. True, lasting fulfillment, he conveyed, his message resonating deep within my soul, doesn't come from attempting to escape the world and its inherent complexities, but from engaging with it fully, wholeheartedly, with every fiber of your being. You must diligently cultivate not only your mind and your spirit, but also your physical vessel, your body. It is the sacred temple that houses your immortal soul, and it deserves, indeed demands, your utmost care, respect, and attention. The body, the mind, the spirit. They are not separate entities, but one indivisible whole. This was the core of the message and was so important to me. The kingdom of heaven is not something I have to achieve, it's something that is inside of me. I have to learn how to work on that. That profound realization, delivered with such gentle yet undeniable authority, shattered my previously held understanding of spiritual practice. I had always mistakenly viewed the body as a mere temporary vessel, a fleeting, somewhat inconvenient distraction from the true, arduous path of enlightenment. I had neglected its fundamental needs, pushing it relentlessly to its absolute limits in my unwavering yet misguided pursuit of purely spiritual goals. But he showed me with crystal clarity that the body is not separate from the spirit. It is an integral, indispensable part of the whole. It is a vehicle through which we experience the richness and complexity of the world, the instrument through which we express our love, compassion, and creativity. To neglect it is to neglect a vital, inseparable aspect of our own being. And then, just as suddenly as it had vanished, the pain returned. A searing, crushing, agonizing pain, far more intense, more unbearable than anything I had experienced before. It felt like being brutally ripped from paradise, torn violently from the warm, comforting embrace of unconditional love. I was back, undeniably, in my physical body, lying on the cold, unforgiving, hard ground. I gasped desperately for air, my lungs burning fiercely, my heart pounding wildly, erratically against my ribs. I was eventually discovered by a group of fellow hikers several hours later, barely conscious and suffering from severe injuries. I was airlifted by helicopter to a nearby hospital where I underwent immediate life-saving emergency surgery. The doctors, in their typically understated way, later told me it was nothing short of a miracle that I had survived. But I knew, deep in my heart, that it was more than just a mere miracle. It was a gift. A precious, undeserved second chance at life. The recovery process was long, arduous, and often intensely painful, but I approached it with a newfound sense of purpose and determination. I began to diligently care for my body, consciously choosing to eat healthy, nourishing foods, engaging in regular, moderate exercise, and ensuring I got adequate, restful sleep. I also, of course, continued my spiritual practice, but with a radically different, more holistic perspective. I no longer viewed the world as a mere distraction from the path to enlightenment, but rather as a vibrant, invaluable opportunity to practice it, to embody it in every thought, word, and action. I found genuine joy in the simple, often overlooked things, in the breathtaking beauty of the natural world, in the warmth of human connection and companionship. I became noticeably more patient, more compassionate, more forgiving, both of myself and of those around me. The monastery, it remains my cherished home, but my perception of it has subtly yet profoundly shifted. I still chant the sacred sutras, I still dedicate time to meditation, but I also actively encourage the younger monks to prioritize their physical well-being, to engage fully with the world around them, to discover and cultivate their own unique individual paths to enlightenment. The transformation wasn't instantaneous, nor was it effortless. Old habits ingrained over decades are notoriously difficult to break, and the seductive pull of the familiar is always strong. But I persevered, steadfastly guided by the vivid, indelible memory of that radiant light, that all-encompassing love, that profound, life-altering understanding. I began to perceive, with increasing clarity, the intricate interconnectedness of all things, the subtle yet powerful ways in which our actions ripple outwards, affecting not only our own lives, but also the lives of everyone and everything around us. I came to realize that true, authentic spiritual practice is not about escaping the messy, complicated realities of the world, but about embracing it fully, wholeheartedly, with all its inherent joys and inevitable sorrows, its daunting challenges and its boundless opportunities. And what about you, my friend? Before I delve into the specific details of the events that unfolded in my life after that transformative experience, I'd like to ask you a question. I'm genuinely curious. Please take a moment to write in the comments the city and the country where you are watching this from. I promise you I'm going to read every single response. I truly believe that each and every one of us has our own unique desert to traverse, our own personal challenges to overcome, our own individual winding path to walk. Don't be afraid to embrace it, whatever it may be. Don't be afraid to live your life fully, to love deeply and without reservation, to experience everything this precious, fleeting life has to offer. For it is in the living, in the authentic experiencing, that we ultimately discover true, lasting fulfillment. The kingdom of heaven, as I learnt in that profound, life-altering moment, is not some distant, unreachable, ethereal realm. It is here, it is now, both within us and all around us. We simply need to open our eyes, our hearts, and our minds to truly see it, to truly appreciate it. And please remember, take diligent care of your temple, your body. It's the only one you've got, and it deserves your respect and attention.